Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the seventh installment of our financial empowerment series, focused today on identity theft. I'm Alterice Frazier, the Executive Director of Parents Engaging Parents, and it is an honor to meet and to speak to all of you all who have joined us in viewing today's December 20th episode. Today's session marks a significant moment in our collective journey, uniting us to express topics that lie at our hearts, at our mission and our vision here at Parents Engaging Parents. I want to extend our deepest gratitude to our sponsors, especially the Parents Engaging Parent Grassroots and Powerful, Real and Powerful Leader Council, who works diligently and bringing in topics and working with us to find leaders to come to this platform, and for the unwavering support that they give countlessly with hours of volunteering to support in our book bag initiatives, coat giveaways, and then today and all our virtual engagement. So thank you all. And then a special thank you also goes to Industrials Bank, who invested 7 weeks and hours behind the scene, really putting together a powerful engagement presentation for us all. And the Terrell Fund and Tepper Foundation for their dedication for our community, continue to giving us the resources that allow us to have this platform and to elevate the information in our communities. At PEP, we are committed to enhancing civic awareness and engaging and encouraging positive community action, focusing particularly on the needs and the interests of the parents and community leaders. Our vision is to nurture leadership, growth, capacity building, and transformative change. Not just here in New Jersey, but across the nation is our ultimate goal, because we are not controlled by our borders. We are all together. Today, we're thrilled to introduce our esteemed community partner who has once again joined us for over 7 weeks. Karen Highsmith, the Vice President of Management at Industrials Bank, who will be joining us on a deep dive into financial empowerment and once again this crucial topic of identity theft. But before we start, let's acknowledge some notable upcoming events and some achievements. So, big shout out to Bringing the Blessings, the efforts that they gave in East Orange at the Children's Exurbial Museum, New Jersey Explorer Children's Museum in East Orange was a beautiful Sunday morning of children receiving books and new winter coats. So we thank you for being champions in your community, bringing the blessings. Kudos to our team in Orange, New Jersey, at the firehouse and the fire station, and our co-host, Councilman Weldon Montague and Councilman Cliff Ross of Orange, New Jersey, who sponsored over 400 coats to be given into their community of children and families. Wants to really thank our faith-based leaders, Pastor Paul at Rock of Life Church in Newark, New Jersey, where we also was able to give over 180 winter coats to children in his community and his network of family and residents in Newark, New Jersey. And then we also have our leader in Patterson, Pastor Eric, and First Lady Cassandra, who also opened up the church with the community leader Shaniqua Lemon at the Madison Avenue Baptist Church in Patterson, where we gave over 200 coats to their community. So thank you for your leadership. Thank you for your continuous commitment to community and the elevation of our communities. And with these winter coaches, giving our children and our families a little bit of opportunity to take the chill off their backs as we struggle through this winter and through our communities. We're looking forward to this Friday in Passaic, New Jersey. We'll be at William Chapel AME Zion Church with my good friend and another powerful leader, Pastor Devon Horton, who's also an educator here in the city of Newark, but definitely is a leader in Passaic where his ministry has been strengthening, and we've collaborated several times. So we look forward to coming back out to Passaic and engaging in your leadership and in your community. And we're also excited for our good friend um and chef over there at Always Fresh and Belleville, who will be coming home to Newark, and also having her event Winter in Wonderland giveaway. And we'll also be distributing winter coats there. So take a look at our social media platforms, take a look at our website for upcoming events, and we'll be back in Atlantic City in the next month. We have a community leaders out there who are going to open up the opportunity to connect with their population and their network out in Atlantic City. This is our second time back in Atlantic City, but when leaders come together and put things in position, the least we could do is support the resources that we support with the resources that we have. So we look forward to seeing our sisters Unique Johnson and Shanti Gerard in Atlantic City. So that's some of the upcoming events. That's some of the things that happened with Parents Engaging Parents this last week. Please remember, we do this all for the community and for the parents that continue to grind and work and learn and build in these communities. We want to do this to come together. We really push this beloved community effort and atmosphere because it will be us teaching us to get us to the next level, because we need to be standing with us for our children to have a better future. So now we want to definitely have it be understood that we invite you to support our mission and our vision as we strive for this impactful change towards the action that we see and that we need. This can't come with just words, it can't come with just attitude. We definitely need donations and resources. So please feel free. www.pepnj.org or PayPal, Zelle, Zimmer, or even Cash App to continue to have this platform, to continue to be able to give winter coats and all the other energy and all the other time that Parents Engaging Parents invest into our community across the world. Across the state. Not yet the world. That's the creator talking to me, but definitely making sure that we're able to touch our community. So it's going to take your support, your time, your energy, and your investment of tangible resources that allow us to keep this and be sustainable. And we got some important things coming in the next year. So feel free to take a look at what we're doing coming up. So today our discussion will encompass a range of topics, including managing a lot of the needs to be able to secure yourself from identity theft and the things that can happen and that could shake up our situation as we continue to strive. So without further ado, I would definitely like to bring in our partner, our champion, and what goes on in the financial world, and our partner that has been an educator for the last 7 weeks at Parents Engaging Parents. We look forward to the amazing things we're going to do next year with Industrials Bank and with Karen Highsmith leading the efforts of synergy between Parents Engaging Parents and Industrials Bank. We got a lot of things that it's like mom spaghetti, hey, tell me know if that pasta is ready, what I'm supposed to do. Throw it against the wall, see if it stick. And that's what we out here doing. We throwing a lot of pasta against the wall and making sure it stick. The beautiful thing is when we throw it up against the wall, it be sticking. It be ready. We just do it for the sake of doing it, but we know when that pasta ready.
That's
Karen,
right.
how you doing today? How's everything?
Everything is wonderful. Everything is wonderful. Happy to have done this for the last 7 weeks and really looking forward to what 2024 is going to bring. I know there are going to be some amazing times when we can engage and share information. I'm just looking forward to it and happy I had this opportunity.
Well, thank you. Definitely thank you. So you know how I like to start it. Let's before we get to the main course, let's start off with a little appetizer. So coming into this weekend, obviously, it's the holiday spirit, it's Christmas, you know, and a lot of us, we obviously, understand the story, understand in our families what Christmas means, but what does this holiday season, what does this celebration that we're coming into this next week, Monday, mean to you and your family?
Well, it's a very special time for me and my family. It has a special moment for me because I had to unfortunately bury my mom on Christmas Eve. So it's always a bittersweet celebration, but more now a celebration. And being around my grandchildren and my great grandchildren and just watching them delight in the joy and surprise of gift giving and fellowship with one another. And I do it a lot because I want them to be very close knit.
Mm-hmm.
And being the matriarch of my family, I try to reinforce that close knitness amongst the cousins and the brothers and the sisters so that when they come together, they're more like sisters and brothers than they are cousins. So I enjoy that dimension of it as well.
Well, thank you for that. And I definitely, once again, a lot of people know my story, and Christmas holidays haven't always been the best in my space, but to having children, they just suck all of that, whatever I was on, to what we gonna be on, and what we gonna
Exactly.
be on, pop, dad. we know son, we know ain't nobody coming down no chimneys, because in some communities we ain't got no chimneys, so it's real.
Exactly.
Yet we know what time it is, sir. So no, I definitely, give them the opportunity to have that, celebratorial energy in the society that we live in. So I definitely give that up, and I'm glad that I have children to be able to pull that out of their granddad or their dad, and not sit in my stuff as much as sit in our community and my family. So I definitely looking forward to some time off, but also just to see the faces of these babies of mine and the babies across the network of parents that I engage with. I'm gonna bring in my friend, your partner in crime, to
Oh,
say
yes.
hello, and ask her also how she's going to enjoy her weekend and her celebratory energy around this holiday. Welcome, Tawana, Miss Green.
Hi.
And
Hi. So basically this year we're not, planning to do too much because this has been such a crazy year for us. Sadly to say. So we're just gonna spend, the time just, me and my kids together just to, reflect and relax and just, enjoying the time together.
That's the key, right? Right,
That
Miss
that
Miss
that
Jessica?
is it. That's the essence of the holiday right there.
Yes.
That's all
Yeah.
we need. Three or
That's
more
all,
is
that's
church.
all you have to have is each other.
Yes.
Exactly. No, so thank you again, guys. We're gonna do what we normally do and step back and give Karen the floor so she can engage us on identity theft this session. And once again, another kudos and thank you for taking so much time to pour into this community, Karen, and definitely, and even yourself, Miss Green, for being so committed to being
Yes.
co-anchor to our program. That's why I love grassroots. We start one way, but listen, when the people come, like, man, she keep knocking on the door. Let her in.
That's right.
That's
That's
right.
So yeah, we thank you for being here, and we turn it over to our partner, Karen, to engage us and elevate us tonight. Karen.
Thank you. So tonight we're going to talk about identity theft. This is series 7. And I'm hoping that as we kind of reflect on what the last 7 weeks have been about, there's been a stream of consciousness about, understanding banking, then credit reports and credit and savings and home ownership, and so this financial futures. So this one is about identity theft, and I think now more than ever, this is a topic that we need to be mindful of. So we're going to talk about how do you protect your identity. What is a digital footprint and ways to manage our digital footprints. identity theft in areas, and then possible solutions. And then there's this new one called smishing that we want to share some information about. And then phone scams and social security numbers, and then global types of identification theft. And all of these topics are critical these days because sometimes, we mindlessly engage in our social media environments, and we're not conscious of the fact that we are exposing ourselves to people who are out there to do harm. The other thing is there are ways that people can use what you put out there in your social media footprint and find a way to use it against you, or to steal it, or put it together and gather information on you that would allow them to steal some of your identity. And I can tell you that, anyone that has gone through anything of this nature has shared with me that is one of the most challenging and difficult things to recover from. So hopefully today we'll share some information that will add some value and give you food for thought on how to protect yourself, because it's not only what you do, it's what happens to us as well. You hear all the time about big companies having breaches and your information being breached, and you don't know anything about it, and you don't know how far it went. And then you get something in the mail that says, oh, we had a breach, and, now you can sign up for Experian to kind of track your credit report to see if anything's gone wrong. So we are exposed in ways that we can't even imagine. The dark web and all these other angles and crooked people out here are really out to use our information in ways that hurt us. So being mindful, being thoughtful, taking precaution is all that we can do to help protect ourselves, our identity, and our family. So how to prevent an attack? So all of the time you'll see information about sharing your information. So it's always good to opt out of information sharing. You'll know when you get store credit cards or you sign up for something, they tell you, well, we like to share your information with our third-party providers, and it's embedded in the terms and agreement. So one of the things you might want to make sure you start doing is reading those terms and agreement to make sure that you have the ability to opt out of information sharing. Monitor your credit. We've talked about this for the last 6 weeks, how important monitoring your credit is, so that you know who's using, if anyone is using your information incorrectly or improperly. And you can always set up alerts on your transactions. And this doesn't always have to just come from your bank. You can have some of your creditors, set up alerts on transactions, because you want them to be mindful to alert you if they see something that is not a normal practice or a normal behavior pattern for you. And use automatic updates for software. Sometimes it's a pain, but when we get these automatic updates, we need to make sure, one, is coming from a provider or a vendor that we know we have software from. And two, it's used as a protection, because people who design these applications know that there are always ways for hackers and bad actors to get access to them. So they automatically update the applications as a layer of protection. So when you see the update your software on your phone or your laptop, be sure to do that, because it's an added layer of protection. Change your passwords often, and make them strong and unrepeated. And I know that sometimes this can be a real pain because you may not remember them all the time, but it doesn't hurt if you say, well, I don't remember this password, so let me change it again. And 9 out of 10 times, the provider or vendor that you're trying to get access to will say, oh, well, you used that one before, try something else. And make sure they're strong, and that someone can't come behind you and think of who you are and what they know of you, and then try to guess your password. Any chance you get to use a two-factor authentication when possible, make sure you do that. Now, what is that? So it means, well, you'll put in your password and the vendor might say, oh, well, I'm going to send a code to your phone, or I'm going to send a link to your email or code to your email account. And you put these numbers in. And then once you do that, then I know that it's really used. A lot of companies and a lot of websites are using two-factor authentication because their environment has been breached. And a lot of times when you see companies and banks having to do that, is because they've had a breach and their insurance company has said to them, you now have to use a two-factor authentication. So sometimes they have no choice but to do it because they got breached and hacked. And now their insurance company is making them put in additional precautions. Understand your digital footprint. Now, our digital footprint are traces we leave behind when we navigate the internet. And we see it all the time. We'll see if we went out to search for a pair of shoes. An hour later, we'll see that same advertisement come up for those same shoes, saying, oh, yeah, we know you looked at this. So they're constantly tracking us. So it's good that we understand how we're using the electronic internet and the devices that we use and how we do our searches and how we use our social media, because we leave a footprint. And then there are things we can do to try to clean it out, but we need to be mindful of the fact that it is a digital footprint and it is out there. And if we don't use it cautiously, we can be exposed. And if you find that you ever are a victim, we suggest that you immediately contact the FTC, and they'll give you detailed instructions on what to do to try to make sure the fraud gets acknowledged and that the fraud gets dealt with. You would contact your bank, contact your creditors, contact everyone that you think has some indication or something to do with your identity and how it's being used so that you can protect it. And we'll talk a little bit more about this as we go through the presentation. What is a digital footprint? So they're active and passive actions using a digital device such as your cell phone or a laptop. So it's active when you're posting or commenting on social media, sending an email or instant message, or video calling a friend. It's passive when you're using a search engine or online shopping or enabling your location services or using password saving services. So sometimes you'll notice that when you're changing your password, the provider might come up and say, oh, you want me to save it for this internet provider? I always say no. I don't let anybody save my passwords. I don't want anything being pre-populated. I'd rather just, remember it myself. And if I can't remember it, then I just automatically change it. Enabling your location services. So we know when we enable our location services, it's like we're telling the world, well, I'm over here. This is where you can track me. This is where you can find me. And I remember maybe 4 or 5 years ago, it was a big thing when you could actually turn your location service off on your cell phone and then turn it on only when you want it to be used. And online shopping is infamous. I mean, I think based on COVID, we've all done more online shopping for everything, more than we ever thought we would, because we had to. So now it's part of our lifestyle, and we just need to be mindful that when we do that, we're leaving a footprint, whether it's active or passive. Another example is privacy. So, and this is an example I brought up a little earlier. You went online to shop for jeans, and then you're like, oh, wait a minute, I'm someplace else and I'm looking at something else, and here comes the ad for those jeans. This is a sign that that shopper, that vendor that you were looking for those jeans, has shared your information with a third-party advertiser. And so you have to be mindful that that's what's being done. That's part of how online shopping does their business and how they make their money. There was a time when you didn't see as many advertisements when you went to Google. Now they pop up readily, like they're always popping up. That's because in order for them to make money, they have to have these arrangements with these third-party advertisers. So what's the pro of your privacy? Well, advertising is personalized. So, they're going to send you the kinds of things and the kind of information they know you like to see. You're able to view products you like, because we kind of set the tone out there that, yeah, I like these types of shoes, these types of jeans. I like this particular brand. And so that information is readily coming to us. The con is that the misuse of this data can lead to it falling in the wrong hands. And for those people who are looking to commit identity theft, they'll say, okay, well, I know she likes this brand. Let me see if there's anything else out here in her digital footprint that's somewhat private that I can piece together, and then maybe steal her identity and create something that gives me a credit card or something else in her name. So those are the kinds of things that we have to be mindful of when we know that we're doing a lot of online shopping, the data is being captured, and there's someone out there constantly looking at how they can put the puzzle together to make it more convenient for them and a hassle for us. So this is some more about the privacy. Websites and apps prompt users to select security questions when signing up as an added security measure. Well, the pro is, the answers are easy to remember. And then the con is thieves can easily figure out answers snooping through social media. So if you say, well, I like to answer the one that asks, what's your grammar school? What's the name of your grammar school? Well, we don't really think anyone is paying any attention to the name of our grammar school, and we put it in. But on the other hand, if we're chatting with friends and family on a social media platform who knew us from grammar school, and the conversation comes up about, oh yeah, remember what we did at Sussex Avenue Grammar School, then a thief knows, oh, okay, well, Sussex Avenue is the grammar school. Or if it's, what is your mother's maiden name? And so all of this information that we think is a private situation and we're using it as a security measure, we have to also remember that we may be discussing it, or other people we know might be sharing information or memories about those same things, which gives the people or bad actors access to kind of put together a puzzle on who we are, what they think our privacy issues are, and use that against us. 7 ways to manage your digital footprint. Well, search yourself online. And then opt out of public record sites that list former addresses, phone numbers, and other identifying information. So sometimes, like when you go to purchase a house, you go back and you say, oh, wow, my name is out here, where I lived, what my phone number was. So we have to be really mindful to know that certain public records are posted on us via, some kind of law that says you have to post housing and you have to post sales. But we need to make sure that if we have an ability to opt out of those public records or some information on those public records, to make sure we do that research and take that into account. Report fraudulent social media accounts. So if you know that there's an account out there that you used to have, but you no longer use it, you use another account, people can create fake accounts to impersonate you and befriend your family and friends online. So you have to be really aware. And if you see something that you didn't set up, but it's in your name, make sure to report it. Review, disable, and delete inactive accounts. So deactivating an account is one step, but deleting an account is a whole nother step. And so you want to make sure that if you are a user of social media accounts and you no longer use maybe the one on LinkedIn, but you use the one on Twitter, that you delete and go through the process of contacting the provider to make sure you can delete an old account. Safeguard current accounts with unique login credentials. So you don't want to use the same password in multiple online accounts. You want to make sure that you use a different one or different configuration, and really be careful when you use the same configuration or the same one, you just mix it up a little, because bad actors can, put in algorithms to kind of look at all of the different scenarios and variables if they think that that's what you're doing. So really try to come up with unique ones that you use differently across different platforms, that would make it difficult for anyone to guess. And information you share and with whom. Check and adjust your privacy settings across all your social media accounts, and this includes location sharing. I mentioned before, if you keep your location setting on your phone active and open, then you're subject to be tracked by anybody, government, anybody. So only turn it on when you absolutely need to use it. And then make sure that you check the privacy settings on all of your devices, to make sure that you're protected as much as you can be. Clear out your cookies often and disallow third-party cookies. So this is really interesting. And I find that I do this a lot. So if you go to your browser and you go to the three dots up there in the little corner, and you'll see something that says history. If you click on history and then you click on clear history, it will clear out all of the searches and websites that you went to over a certain period of time. And when you do that, it makes it harder for bad actors to kind of follow you and what you're looking at. The other thing is, you'll notice sometimes you'll go to a website and they're like, we use cookies, allow our cookies. Well, when you allow the cookies, you're also allowing third parties access to whatever you're doing on that website. So really be careful on how you clear out your browser or your history on your browser, and disallow third-party cookies. Now, I know this is a challenge. Just read the privacy policies of websites, apps you use. And the reason it's a challenge is because, it's this tiny little fine print, and, we kind of don't always want to have time to do it because we're just busy, doing the thing that we want to get done. But with identity issues that are so prevalent now, it's really important to take a few minutes to kind of read it and make sure that you understand how your information is going to be used, who it's going to be shared with, how it's going to be shared, and how the agreement with that third party is being allowed to use your information. This is really, really important because everybody is collecting data, and they're collecting our data. And if we don't manage to the extent that we can how they collect our data and how they use our data, then we just open ourselves up for more risk of potential identity theft. Areas and solutions. So these next couple of slides give you some attacks and defenses, a definition of what it is, a potential solution, and then how that solution works. So eavesdropping. So what is it? The internet is plain text transmission. And that means that when we send something across the internet, it's going across unprotected. Now, there was a time, if you recall, that we used to just have to put www in front of whatever we were trying to search on the internet. And then what software engineers just developed or figured out is when we did that, everything was publicly exposed. So then they came up with HTTPS : 2 backslashes. So that's the form of encryption that the internet is using or providers are using that allow you to scramble the plain text into a format that only the receiving provider will get. So HTTPS automatically encrypts all data that you're sending over the internet. So when you're searching something, you make sure that it has the HTTPS : and 2 /. That's a way of knowing that if you're receiving something or you're sending something or you're searching something, that you're doing it in a safe way. Phishing. A lot of companies spend a lot of time now on security training. And a lot of what comes out of that is this terminology called phishing. And these are disguised links that impersonate and direct you to somewhere other than where you're really trying to go. So I know at the bank, this is a big deal. Never click on anything you don't know. If you get a link to someplace or something, make sure it's from someone it's a vendor that you do business with, and that when you hover over it, it's really for the link that you want to go to. So we spend a lot of time doing training on phishing and links. Some companies actually send simulated phishing scams across the internet to their employees in their email because they want to check to see if people are slowing down and paying attention and not just clicking on a link. Because when you click on it, if it's not a healthy link, it's a bad actor, then all of your data is exposed and you've been breached. So check your sources. Make sure you check your sources, double check your sources. If you have a bad feeling about it, don't click on it. Don't use phone numbers, emails, or links from unsolicited sources. Don't navigate to suspicious websites, and check for disguised links. hover over the link and check the URL at the bottom before clicking, because sometimes when you do that, you'll see that there's a misspelling in the link, or you'll see that there's something else that's unusual about the link and that you shouldn't click on it. Spear phishing. Spear phishing is really what happens in business. So this is when it's dedicated to a specific target, like a CEO, a COO, a chief financial officer, any type of any individual that they think is at a certain level in a business that can give them access to valuable information. So you have to really be cautious and be suspicious of emails from organizations outside of your company. Check the link before you click. That's really, really important. So phishing is general, general targeted populations of people, all of us. And spear phishing is for a targeted audience. Open ports. So port scanning is when hackers find an open port on your computer. They can download your files and even install keyloggers. And we kind of see this, we've seen this and heard about this on television, where they say someone installed the keylogger so they can check your keystrokes and, they know what you're doing. This is really serious stuff. So you have to make sure you have good, strong firewalls. Firewalls prevent unauthorized access to open ports by blocking off open ports and only allowing authorized traffic. Make sure your firewall is enabled for both incoming and outgoing emails. So one of the things that you want to do is, sometimes if you don't have a provider, you can always go to like a Best Buy or even your internet company and look and see what kind of firewall protection that they may offer, so you can make sure that you have good firewall protection on your devices. Malware. This one is pretty common. We're all heard the terminology of malware, and this includes viruses, Trojans, worms, and other computer world terms, where someone can send something to your computer via a link, and even to your phone sometime now, to infect your computer so that it no longer functions and they have access to your data. So this software solution is important. So you need antivirus or anti-malware software. Enable always on security and make sure you scheduled scans. So a scheduled scan is like if you have Norton as your antivirus and anti-malware software on your computer, you can schedule scans where they can every 30 days, scan your computer, or once a week scan your computer to make sure there's no virus or malware on it. And there are free ones, and then there are some that you pay for. Norton, I know you pay for, but there are free ones. And I would recommend that before you use a free one, that you contact someone who's an expert in this area, like go to the Geek Place at Best Buy and make sure that, what you're using is free and viable. Advertisements and ad blockers. So I just learned about this when I was putting this together. So I knew that there were lots of advertisements and ad blockers that you see pop up all the time. What I didn't know is that they're managed networks, and that the companies that promote these things can either do them very well or very poorly. And if it's not well managed, then what we have to do to protect ourselves is we have to be very vigilant and make sure that we understand and know the advertisements that our companies or our vendors or the internet that we're looking at are using. Because it's hard for us to manage this because it's coming through our device. And it's not something that we are cognizant of because we don't always know that, say for instance, Nike may have third-party advertising contracts with these advertising networks. And so we aren't aware of what type of information they're promoting or whether they're managing their advertising network well. And so we can have ad blockers. We can say we want to block certain ads or block all ads if we want to. But some of them end up on a list and they get compromised because they get paid. So, they pay Nike to show up when we go to their website. So these people are paying our online shopping vendors to have their ads pop up. But if we say we want to block them or we block them, then we have a better chance of protecting ourselves from malicious advertisements. So it's one of those things that is sort of out of our control, but wherever we can click the X or opt out, it's in our best interest to do so because we just don't know whether they're well managed or poorly managed. Mobile apps. So it's hard to see the connection a mobile app is making. And that makes it difficult to assess whether the data is encrypted or not. If you use a banking app directly, then security has been implemented. But I'll give you a perfect example of this. So if you have, say, Metro by T-Mobile, and you go to pay your bill online, and you'll notice that there might pop up 4 different ways to pay that bill online. And you have to be careful to make sure you're selecting the one that's sponsored by T-Mobile and not sponsored by someone else on behalf of or in connection with or as an alternative to making a payment. And this holds true for lots of different vendors. So you have to really make sure that you know how and who you're doing business with when you go to make a payment online. And if you can do it from your bank, that's the best alternative because they have the highest security that they can put on to protect those types of payments. So check your settings. Be wary of sending confidential and important information via an app. Limit app permissions. And if you don't know the reason for a permission, but you trust the developer, then it's your discretion to allow the permission or not. So this is all about making sure you understand how you set up your app and how you allow your app to send and receive information and what permissions you give these apps. And this is also important because it's not only important for us, it's important for our children. Because our children use these devices in some ways like toys. They go out to the little TikTok and all these other things, and they're taking pictures, and so it's important for parents to check the settings, make sure that they limit, and teach their children about how to limit some of the permissions, and that they should only use the ones that they have discussed with their parents and know that they're trusted sites or trusted vendors. Smishing. So this was a new terminology to me. And when I looked at it, I was like, oh, okay. But I've seen these types of texts and versions of it. It's a version of phishing. So that means it's just broad-based. It happens to everybody and anybody. And there are 4 different types of smishing texts. Now, these are texts that come to your phone. Free prizes from an unknown number, and they ask you to click the link to claim the prize, such as a gift card, cash, or a free product. So whenever I see these unknown numbers pop up as a text message, I automatically delete them. Tracking information. So they try to get you to click on an unsafe link by claiming it's providing tracking information on a package pending delivery. And so you have to say, well, what is this tracking for? And I've seen this. I actually saw this. I had ordered something, and I was used to the vendor sending me confirmation to my email. And then I would get these unknown, excuse me, I need some water. Sorry. I would get these unknown emails or texts to tell me to track something from someone, or someone was saying, oh, thanks for your order. And if you want to track your item, click here. I was like, I don't know what this is. So I automatically deleted it. And then credit card offers. Scammers will text you with credit card offers that seem too good to be true. Oh, I'm going to give you a 0% interest rate for 24 months. Well, we know that's fraudulent. That's a good point, Erica. That's a very good point. That emails, pay attention to logos, because sometimes they're recreated by the color or size may be distorted. That's very true. Thank you for bringing that out. That's good information. And then you can get a text, a friend of a friend. So someone will say, well, your friend gave me your number to invite you to an event. And if you want more information, click on the link for more information. Never do that. So smishing is a way of hackers getting access to us or to our information on our phones via text messages. So be really careful about text messages and phone calls. We all get scam calls. And we know, not to answer those. So the same thing is true of text messages. How can you protect yourself? Know the difference between smishing and marketing. So if you didn't input your phone number to sign up for a specific company's text message, it could be a smishing scam. Block messages. You can protect yourself from smishing scams before you even receive them by blocking texts from unknown numbers. And install security software. Security software keeps scammers from gaining access to your data. Phone scammers target your social security number. So most phone scammers are targeting elderly citizens. And this is why it works. They're general tools are to keep the caller alone, move quickly, use a rough tone. They give stolen identity information, and they might pose as Social Security, or they might pose as police officers, or they might pose as the IRS. They want information quickly, and then they want to hide their identity. And what do you do if you get a call like that? Hang up. The IRS and the police are going to, and Social Security are only going to communicate with you via the mail. Contact your bank, your credit cards, and other accounts to freeze them. And report the call to Social Security Office of Inspector General, and request to place a credit freeze through Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion, and watch your accounts for suspicious activity. Now, some of this all kind of relates to us making sure we check our credit account statements, we check our credit report, we look at our bank statements, all of those things we discussed earlier as healthy ways to kind of manage and monitor our finances. And if we do that habitually, it'll also help us protect ourselves from scammers. So these are the types of identity theft around the world. So we've all heard of account takeover fraud. This is where, someone takes over your account and they say they might have a ransom that they want in order to release the information back to you. People lose their passports all the time. How do you do a credit freeze? So you do a credit freeze by contacting the credit card company and telling them that you think there might have been some suspicious activity on your account and you'd like to freeze the account. And normally they'll let you freeze it for 3 or 6 months or longer. And then once you think that the threat has mitigated itself, you can call them back and ask them to unfreeze it. Thank you, Yolanda. Great question. Biometric ID theft. Now, imagine that. Biometric is, one of the newer technologies on protecting us from identity theft. And now they have figured out a way to steal your biometric ID and use it against you. So, be really careful on all of these things. Online shopping fraud, that's really one of the most frequent ways that we get hit. And senior identity theft and scams, we talked about that a little bit with the Social Security and the phone calls. And debit or credit card fraud, you lose your credit card or you someone gets access to it. They have those scammers. That's why they tell you to use RFID wallets so that people with those portable scammers can't come by and, get the number off your cards. Mortgage fraud. This is unusual, but it happens where, someone can piece together information about you to steal your identity and then, buy a house or, make a change to the title company. So there are all kinds of things around mortgage fraud that you have to protect yourself against, and mail identity theft. Well, we know that, people can take our mail or take information that we put in the garbage. And, if it has our prescriptions or it has our credit card numbers, there's ways that they can get that information, and we have mail identity theft. So these are just things that are more prevalent around the globe on how identity theft is being perpetuated against citizens. So again, this is additional information on our Enrich platform on this particular subject. So it talks about ransomware, how to avoid debt relief scams and identity scams you need to know, scam scare super solutions, the best way to avoid fraud and identity theft, and scam proof your life, what to do when you've been hacked. Again, I really, want to encourage you, if you have the time and you feel it might add some value, is to visit this website because it's a free service. The bank isn't tracking it. The bank is just offering it to its members and its people in the communities that we serve, where you can actually go and establish a free account that allows you to track your financial goals, read about all types of information around financial empowerment, and take courses and understand the connection to your mind and body and health and your financial disposition. So I encourage you, if you would like, to visit this website and set up your free account and begin to track and develop your financial journey. Thank you very much.
Well. Thank you.
Thank you.
We appreciated another night of information, another night of sharing. We'll bring our partner, our co-anchor.
Yeah.
What's going on, Tawana? We got any questions?
Not any questions tonight because everything was just really clear to understand. But just a comment with the cookies thing. You know how many times that pop up and not really realizing how they're sharing information with third parties. But it's good to really pay attention to that.
Thank you. Yeah, that and I know, it's funny because even when I work, one of our vendors won't, if our cookies are too long or too old or there's too much information in it, it won't let you get access to the website.
Oh,
So
wow.
they force you to go in and clean up your cookies and your history on your search engine, because they're like, nope, you got too many things in that search engine. Clean out that data and then I'll let you in.
Okay.
So it's really good to know. And, I had gotten locked out a couple of times and I'm like, why am I being locked out of this account? And I had to call their service desk, and they told me, they said, you got too many cookies. You got to clean out your history.
Wow.
So from that point on, I've been very mindful of that.
Okay.
And that was good too, because to even talk about cookies, I'll be looking at those and wondering what's going on, because sometimes you can't even get into their information without selecting those cookies.
That's right.
Man, I wonder, like, do it, New Jersey .com. Like, if you ain't subscribed, now they heavy with those cookies. So thank you for, like I said, just sharing information that we have questions about, things that we didn't even know about. And I know from a lot of people, thank you for also being current and with your information, not just a makeshift presentation, a presentation based on doing some homework, doing some reading. We really appreciate that. It opens the door to questions on both ends. So it shows that you'll teach as much as you're learning in real time as well. And we appreciate that, because that's the importance of parents engaging parents, that we all on the same levels of desire to change this game, and we'll do a little more to get that information. So thank you for that as well.
Thank you. This has been a wonderful 7 weeks. I've enjoyed it thoroughly.
Yes, me too.
Well, and we think, and that's important to that commitment of consistency, Karen, and yourself too, Tawanda. where you guys, really continue to pay attention to and also communicate to some information that a lot of us did know and didn't know, but in community is where we're going to be able to have the sustainability and I believe the foundation to stand on when we continue to sharpen each other's sword. That's one of the 7
Yes.
habits of highly effective people is to sharpen your sword. So that's what community is going to do, and that's what we continue to do at Parents Engaging Parents. Look forward to some once again a lot of continuous activity engagement in our communities. Continue to pushing out the winter coats to our children's, our families up and down New Jersey. Some new initiatives coming in 2024. More activity with Ms. Highsmith and Industrials Bank. We look forward to this collaboration, this partnership, because once again, you cannot have community without having economic understanding. You can't have community without having an educational understanding and the faith and that we need to continue to push on is going to come with us continue to build together. So, ladies and gentlemen who have viewed us tonight and asked questions, we thank you again for putting your questions in, putting your comments in, because once again, community, this beloved community, is what we aim to build. Thank you and have a beautiful night and a great holiday weekend.
Thank you.
Thank you.